Hello and welcome. I'm Bert the Stormtrooper, and this is my video review of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Classic Collection 1990 movie Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, and I absolutely love these figures. Now, these guys here are the follow-ups to the Classic Collection figures that we got about a year or two ago that were based on the animated series. And as the packaging says, these guys are based on the 1990 live action film, and I think they look absolutely beautiful. Let's get this review started. So starting right off with the packaging, as you can see, this packaging looks very reminiscent of what the original Ninja Turtle packaging used to look like back in the 80s when we were getting the original figures. It's got the graphics where it's got it looks like a wall that's bursting out. Now the font on it is based more on the current Nickelodeon Turtles that we're watching on TV right now. But yeah, the packaging looks real nice. You've got the name for the figures on the front. Really, the only difference on all of these packages is the name on the front. All of the packages for these figures are going to be identical. They're going to be exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the name of the figure that's on the front there. There's Donnie and Raph. There you see Michelangelo. And here you see Leonardo. And as you can see, once again, the packaging is the exact same for all the figures, except for the name there. So I'm just going to show off Raphael's packaging here. And as you can see on the front, there's some pictures taken from, some screenshots taken from the films. And it looks here like, this is weird because it says 1990 movie, and these shots here are from the first movie that came out in 1990, but for whatever reason, maybe this is just me, but when I look at the figures themselves, to me they look more like the second movie. They look more like the Turtles that we saw in Secret of the Ooze, and that may just be me, but that's just the way they come off when I look at them. Looking at the back of the packaging, you've got some information on the back here. It talks about the figures themselves and a little bit of just very short history on the Turtles themselves. We got some more screenshots from the first movie, the 1990 movie, and then down here we can see pictures of the 4 movie Turtles that we're looking at right now. And then on the bottom row, you can see their predecessors, the ones that were based on the animated series down here, along with Bebop and Rocksteady. So there you go. There's the packaging for these new Classic Collection Turtles. Now, taking a look at the figures themselves, these guys were released in 2014, so these guys are brand new. They're on shelves right now, and they're retailing for approximately $20. Right here, the figures on their own, they're approximately 6 1/4 inch tall. And each individual figure comes with its signature weapons and a sewer lid stand, very similar to the one that we got with the first animated series Turtles, except this time around it just says 19. For example, on this guy it's going to say 1990 movie Raph instead of just saying Raphael. Now, if you look at the sculpt on these guys look great. The articulation on this guy is fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and remove his weapons. We'll get into the individual weapons later. And if you're watching this video, I'm sure you know by now who carries what weapons, I'm sure. So, taking a look at articulation, you've got a ball-jointed neck, so the head's got a very nice range of motion. You can emote with this guy pretty well. You've got, it's not ball joints, it's universal joints, but they work as good as ball joints right up here on the shoulder, so these guys can go all over the place. Now, one thing to note is that the ball joints on these guys are very, very, very hard. Going around is not a problem, but going in and out and up and down with these guys can get a little scary. I actually had to heat mine up before I was able to move them a little bit, and at that I can get 1, maybe 2 clicks with them, and it's still very scary for me. Every time I go to move these guys up and down, I try not to do so as much as possible because I'm afraid that I'm going to break the peg that connects the shoulder to the bicep. So just be aware of that when you're getting the figures. When you go to pose them, try not to grab them by the actual bicep and pull on the arm. Test out, try and grab it right here by the shoulder and test out that joint, moving him up and down before you try moving them. And this goes for all 4 of these Turtles. I found that all 4 of these had the same issue. So just be aware of that and be very, very careful with it. Now, I've had these for a few weeks now and I haven't had any problems. But like I said, I try to be very careful with that and not move it. So just be very careful with that. Again, because it's on a pin, the bicep has a rotation, so that's nice. You've got a double joints at the elbows there, so these guys can bend their elbows very nice, which when it comes to ninjas, it's very good that they can do that because you're going to want to get some dynamic poses out of that. Then you've got a rotation at the wrist down here, and the fingers are also individually posable, so you got your thumb can go all the way around. It's got universal joints, so you can go around and you can go up and down with it. And then the other two fingers, they're just on a single joint, so you can open and close the hand. Coming over here to the torso, you got I'm not quite sure what to call the articulation on the chest, but you do have articulation. As you can see, you got a little bit of an ab crunch, and you've got a little bit of rotation. Not quite at the waist; it's just up here at the pecs. But it is nice that you've got that, so you can get some really nice dynamic poses with them. Moving down to the hips, once again, the hips are on universal joints, so these guys can go in and out, forward, backward, and rotate. You've also got a rotation right here at the top of the thigh. Now, while it's nice to have the articulation, or the rotation rather, at the top of the thigh, as you can see, if you're going to try to do some poses where the legs are open, if you rotate that top of that thigh, it's getting a little tough for me to do that on camera. As you can see there, that could break up the look of the figure. So personally, I prefer that if I'm going to do any rotation with the leg, I prefer to do it at the hip itself rather than doing it at the thigh. You've got just like on the elbow, you've got a double jointed knee, so these guys can get a good bend at the knee there. You've got a universal joint down here at the ankle, so the ankles can rotate and they can go forward and backwards. And the toes are also individually jointed. They're just a single joint, so they can go up and down. So as you can see, these guys are really, really nice articulated. Now, taking a look at the individual weapons, of course, with Raphael, what you're going to get with this guy is you're going to get the figure himself. You're going to get the sewer stand with his name on it, and you're going to get a pair of sai with him. And these guys look really, really nice. Let me try and close in here. Very nice detail on the weapons here. I really, really love the way that these weapons look. And with Raphael, he's very dynamic. You can get this guy the size. You can actually fit the blade through the fingers. It's a little tough to get in there, but it can be done just like that. And I really love posing Raphael in kind of a fighting stance with his size going between his fingers. I really think that just looks so cool. Now, you can also do, if you remember in the movie, at one point, he held his sai with the handle going through his finger rather than the blade. Now, you can do that, but you have to be careful because you can't get this small side of the blade here. You're not going to be able to get that around the thumb. So you kind of have to have them at a bit of an open handle or open hand carry when you try to do that. So it looks okay. It looks good, and it's nice that he's able to do that. He can't do it perfectly, but he can do at least that much, and I think that's just very, very cool. So there's Raphael. We'll get him on a stand, and then we'll show him off with his previous animated counterpart, just to get a good comparison there. So there's a good shot of the two of them before we move on to our next turtle. Taking a closer look at Leonardo here. Well, once again, we've got the sewer figure stand that comes with every single one of these figures. And you can see there's his 1990 movie Leo. And of course, Leo's going to come with his katana swords. And let's take these off for a second just so we can take a good look at Leo here. And Leo is probably the least favorite for me as far as the head sculpt goes. Now, as far as the bodies go, these guys all have all pretty much identical bodies. The only thing that's going to change on the bodies for these guys are going to be the belts that allow them to carry their weapons. But as far as the bodies go, the bodies are pretty much all the same, but the head sculpts are going to change. And this is kind of a shame for me because out of the movie characters themselves, the actual sculptures used in the movies, the actual puppets that they used in the film, Leonardo was my favorite sculpt. And with this guy, I don't know. I guess they were trying to give him a dynamic, look. with his face there, and I don't think it translated very well. What they were trying to, whatever it was that they were trying to get across with him, I don't think translated very well. So it's a bit of a shame. I would have preferred to see him with a closed mouth. Maybe he would have looked a little better. If they were going to try and have like a gritting teeth look on any of these turtles, I think Raphael would have been the one to do it on. So it's a bit of a shame because he's probably my least favorite head sculpt out of all the turtles. Taking a look at the belt, which is really the only other recognizable thing for him. He's got the wide belt with the twin straps that go over his shoulders, and then he's got his holsters in the back for his swords. And this is removable, as you can see. He's got a small peg and hole right there, so this guy can pick right in there. And yes, his swords can slide right in there, so that's really nice that they can do that. So if you want to pose him with his swords on his back, you can go ahead and do so. Taking a closer look at the swords, just because we took a look at Raphael's size, so let's take a good look at the katana sword for Leo here. Let's try and get focused in here. And there you go. As you can see, same thing. It's just plastic. It's gray plastic with a painted handle, and I think they did a pretty good job. They look very good. So there's one last look at Leonardo. We'll get him back on his stand, and then we'll show him off with his animated counterpart. Come on, man. Can I understand? There you go. So there's one last look at Leonardo by himself, and then we'll bring in his animated counterpart for comparison. Moving on to Donatello, and once again we've got the turtle, and he comes with his sewer lid stand. It says 1990 movie Don on there. And as you can see, Donnie comes with... Now, Donnie's the only one that comes with one weapon. I should also mention, every single one of the turtles comes with two weapons. Raph came with two sai. Leo came with two swords. Mikey comes with two nunchuck. Donnie only comes with the one bow staff. So we'll go ahead and get that out. And we'll show the bow staff off. And it's probably the least detailed out of all the weapons. It's just a long piece of plastic made to look like a stick with some handles molded in the middle there. And you can go ahead and store this guy on his back there. And this is nice because the handle, the handle part of the stick is actually thicker than the rest of the bow staff. So when you get to when you go to holster it in, it's pretty loose going in there. But then once you get to the handle part, it actually applies some pressure, so it'll hold in there real nice. So that's not going anywhere. Taking a look here at Donnie's face sculpt. I really like what they did with Donnie here, and I think they translated the movie look for Donnie really, really well. Other than that, you know, like I said, the body is the same exact body as all the other turtles had. His belt, he's got the wide belt going across with the wide belt going over the shoulder, and when you go around to the back, he's got his holster there for his bow staff. And there he is. This is Donatello, same articulation as all the other figures. Like I said, the bodies are going to be the same on these guys. So the only thing that changes is the belts, their weapons, and their head sculpts. So there is one last look at Donnie by himself. And we'll bring in his animated counterpart for comparison. So there you can see these guys side by side. These guys look awesome together. I really love having both sets of these guys because they look so great together. And finally, we come to Michelangelo. And once again, Michelangelo comes packed in with his two nunchuck, his sewer lid stand here, 1990 movie Mike. And, you know, that's one thing I noticed with these guys is that they shortened their names on every single one of these guys. The original, if you're familiar with the first series of these, the animated ones that I've been showing off, they had their full names on their sewer lids, where these movie guys, they have Raph, Leo, Don, and Mike instead of their full names. So that's probably one thing to note there. So there's Michelangelo. He comes with his nunchuck. These nunchucks are really, really nice because they have an actual metal chain on them. So, and then you can see the handle. Once again, plastic, but it's made to look like a small wooden handle with a nice metal chain on there. So these guys go all over the place. These are really, really, really nice. I really love what they've done with these guys. And taking a look at Mikey's head sculpt here. Once again, I think this is probably, in my opinion, this is where the best translation from movie sculpt to toy sculpt went through. I think this guy looks dead on to the sculpt that we saw in the movie. This guy looks fantastic. Now his belt, he's just got the single white belt with the thin belt that goes over top of that. And when you go around to the back, he's got the holsters there for both of his nunchucks, which you can store if you want to pose him just without his weapons. And only thing is, you got to kind of get that, you got to work around that chain, because that chain's going to try and get in your way. But yeah, there he is. There's Mikey. We'll get him on his stand. One last look at him. So there's Mikey one more time. And then we'll bring in his animated counterpart for comparison. So there they are one last time, all four turtles side by side, ready to battle. Guys, I think these figures look awesome. If you're into Ninja Turtles at all, and if you're into these new classic collection figures, I highly recommend you go out and find these. These are in stores right now, so good luck hunting out there. And I think that about covers the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Classic Collection 1990 movie, Raphael, Leonardo, Donatello, and Michelangelo. Please leave me a comment, give me some thumbs up, subscribe, and share with your friends if you like what you see, and I'll talk to you next time.